You can't talk growth in the Inland Northwest without talking about change.
Being the first business here, we get to watch all of the progression take place.
For some, change is inspiring.
I moved up here because I felt this area was growing and wanted to be a part of that whole growth.
While others have their concerns.
The traffic is just going to be, insurmountable.
I'm not thrilled about the idea of them building here.
Good or bad, change is bringing...
I think the word that comes to mind is opportunity.
Opportunities for new business.
The moment this place opened, it just blew up.
And entertainment.
It's good for the economy. It's good for the growth. It gives people things to do.
New roads.
In 5 to 10 years, the North-South Freeway is going to be done, hopefully. And so there's going to be new access to getting up there.
And new jobs.
That was all part of going through this there to get our people working, collect jobs, collect revenue.
It's exciting that here you guys in Moses Lake are really leading the way.
In fact, the only thing that might not be new is the growth itself.
I always refer to Expo as one of the 2 big moments in Spokane's kind of landscape history.
In this KREM 2 News Boomtown special, we are looking to the past.
It just was a real chance of a lifetime to be part of that.
And the future.
We have things like life sciences, we have clean tech.
As we navigate what's changing right now.
We get to be part of it from the ground up.
This is Boomtown, growth and opportunity. Hello, and thank you for joining us for this KREM 2 News Boomtown special. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Whitney Ward. In our Boomtown series, we track the growth here in the Inland Northwest. Over the next hour, we will look at some of the biggest developments from the past year.
When it comes to growth, one of the biggest challenges is housing. We need more of it, but not everyone agrees on where to build it.
KREM 2's chief journalist Amanda Rowley is taking us to the Saltese Creek development in Spokane Valley, where neighbors are leery of plans for the area.
These 80 acres are now the Saltese Creek development. City permits say developers plan to build 10 apartment buildings with a clubhouse and about 80 luxury homes.
The development will be located south of I-90 on property previously owned by the nonprofit Good Samaritan Society. For decades, the property sitting northwest of the Saltese Flats wetland area remained vacant, except for the wildlife. Ken Lewis helped list the property for sale 3 years ago.
I think the best thing about this property is its convenience and that view. So it's very close to the freeway, it's close to the Valley Mall, and it's close to the state line.
During my time spent at the site today, I was approached by several neighbors in the area. They say they love this untouched, vacant land and the wildlife that come and go through here.
I've been just enjoying there are owls up there. I love hearing the coyotes. I know deer come down.
Well, their ears must have been burning because these deer raced by as I talked with Jennifer LaRue, who's lived here for 20 years.
I'm not thrilled about the idea of them building here. You just saw those deer run by. They need a place too, and it's just not really fair.
Her neighbor Tom Smith has lived here for 3 decades.
35 to be exact.
And the biggest reason why he's stayed?
This behind me.
He too appreciates the wildlife and nature here, and Tom worries how things might change with the new housing.
The traffic is just going to be, insurmountable.
Developers say they've heard these concerns from neighbors about the impacts with the development, but they recognize there is a need for housing in the community, and they want to help. In Spokane Valley, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
North Idaho is one of the fastest growing areas in the Inland Northwest. Hundreds of new houses have been built in the last few years and more are on the way. KREM 2's Cody Proctor looks at one of those new projects, the Hayden Sky development, which is planned near the Coeur d'Alene Airport.
The Hayden City Council spent about 3 hours Tuesday night in a crowded council chamber for one item on the agenda, the proposed Hayden Sky development. According to city documents, the proposed project would create over 400 dwelling units, 2 public parks, private open space, and a light industrial lot. The application also proposes to develop 300 residential lots with 1- and 2-story single homes and almost 30 2-story fourplexes. The industrial lot would be for self-storage. The development will be located on West Hayden Avenue, just southwest of the Coeur d'Alene Airport. The proposal's representatives told city councilors they plan to build the development in 4 phases, starting this year with phase 1. But a couple of community members questioned the proposal, with sewage a big concern. since a wastewater treatment facility is located nearby.
But if this was to happen again, I would hope that you put your best efforts forward, because smelling poop is not a good idea on a daily basis.
Traffic, especially at the nearby Hayden and Hutter intersection, also drew concerns.
And it takes at times 15 minutes to get from Hutter onto Hayden to come home.
In regards to traffic, Atlas and Hayden is a freaking nightmare. It is like avenging death to get out of there.
Sometimes growth happens too quickly. Traffic and wildfires were reasons for the city of Spokane to slow development in the Latah Valley. The council passed a moratorium on new construction in that area back in May. Cody Proctor explains their decision.
All right, prepare to vote.
With a vote of 5-2, the Latah Valley Development Moratorium passed at Monday's Spokane City Council meeting. City officials say it goes into effect immediately. This map right here shows the moratorium zone covering the Latah, Hangman, and Grandview Thorpe neighborhoods. During the moratorium, the city won't accept, process, review, and/or approve any new applications for this area. City documents say the reasons behind the proposal are because of the significant development seen in this area and a lack of fire protection resources. This area also has a temporary Spokane Fire Department fire station and not very many roads in and out of the developments. Councilmember Paul Dillon was one of the moratorium's sponsors.
I do think, there's a lot of weight to a moratorium. I think this will provide some internal accountability for us, and this can't wait.
Councilmember Michael Cathcart weighed in on the proposal, saying because there's a limited area for developers to build in Spokane, putting a large area like Latah Valley on hold is not thoughtful policymaking.
All you're doing is making housing harder to site, more expensive, more challenging. There is no good for the city as a whole by doing that.
Now, this isn't the first time this area has been under a moratorium. The most recent one started back in the fall of 2022. It lasted for 6 months. In the studio, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
We want to say hello to everyone watching right now on KREM 2 Plus and remind you that KREM 2 Plus is home to all of our latest Boomtown stories and specials. You can find them under the news menu at the top of your screen. And if you don't yet have KREM 2 Plus, you can download it for free on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Being the first business here, we get to watch all of the progression take place.
Boomtown is bringing new businesses and new options for entertainment.
There's nothing wrong with more options for people to go.
From cafes to casinos, gaming and golf, we have an inside look at some of the new ways to have fun.
Plus, we're breaking out the crystal ball to figure out our future hotspots.
When I think of hotspot, I think of the focus that we've had on helping housing get built here.
We'll hear from 3 experts with their predictions for growth across the Inland Northwest.
And in our next half hour,
the finish line is in sight.
We have an updated timeline for the North Spokane Corridor as this KREM 2 News Boomtown special continues.
Welcome back to our KREM 2 News Boomtown special. One benefit of all the new people moving to the Inland Northwest is more shopping and entertainment options.
We're going to take a look at a handful of those new businesses, and we start in Post Falls, where KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones and photojournalist Nathan Brand show us an emerging spot right off I-90.
Breathe in at the top.
Progress takes time.
Good.
Something true at the gym.
One more.
And also in the field of construction. At Shift Fitness, you can focus on yourself, or you can watch a neighborhood being built right in front of your eyes.
Being the first business here, we get to watch all of the progression take place. We get to meet all of the people. We get to be part of it from the ground up.
Welcome to the magical world of Millworks, a new, self-sustaining, half-finished, walkable neighborhood in a city that's not exactly walkable.
Not everybody knows about it. This strip right here, 4th Avenue between Idaho Street and Celtice, not a lot of people drive down this way. They don't necessarily have a reason to.
Location can make or break any business, especially when it seems like you're surrounded by more construction workers than clients.
Kind of lonely. We're excited. We were super excited to see the bookstore bistro come in.
You wouldn't expect a bookstore bistro in an unknown part of town to be so immensely popular, it causes a parking shortage. But that's what's happening.
Super busy too, so obviously they're drawing a nice crowd. Very family friendly. as well.
We both have little ones, same age, and we're excited to bring them back here.
Kindred and Co. can only be described as an Instagram mom's dream.
The moment this place opened, it just blew up all over Facebook, Instagram, all my friends sharing it.
Whether it was the attention to detail, the spaciousness of the building, or just the overall aesthetic.
It's exquisite on the inside. The architecture, the design, it really is amazing.
And it doesn't hurt to have a dining hall that looks straight out of a Harry Potter movie.
And so when I tell people about where we are and what's going on down here, they're like, wow, I kind of saw something going on, but I didn't really know, what all that was.
While it still may not look like much from the freeway,
Push, 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 good.
little by little, sip by sip, a new neighborhood is taking shape in Post Falls. Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
This next project has a lot of people excited in Spokane Valley. Construction is underway on the Inland Northwest's first Dave & Buster's location. Nathan Hyun has a look at the fun coming our way in 2025.
A new development could be on its way to Spokane Valley. This empty 4-acre lot just north of the Valley Mall may soon be the home of a future Dave & Buster's.
There's nothing wrong with more options for people to go.
Mike Handelin is a bowling manager for players and spectators in Spokane Valley. The bowling alley is one of only 2 in the valley.
This place has been busy. You come in here and you can pretty much expect you're going to have to wait for lanes.
Handelin says he doesn't mind another entertainment business coming into town.
It's good for the economy. It's good for the growth. It gives people things to do.
At the beginning of this month, Dave & Buster's filed an application with the city of Spokane Valley to begin the process of developing a new location in the city. The current plan is to build a new 30,000 square foot building northwest of the Spokane Valley Mall.
We just want to have fun with our kids. We want to be able to play those old games that we played.
Danica Dixon grew up in Spokane. She's been a fan of the entertainment chain since she was a teenager.
I remember having fun with our parents. Truly enjoyed the entire family.
The city hopes to continue bringing in large retailers like Dave & Buster's through its retail recruitment strategy, though didn't specifically say if this planned development was part of that recruitment strategy. As the city grows, it says it's a priority to introduce more retail businesses in the community.
Being able to see the community grow in the entertainment side of things, it gives me a lot of hope for this generation.
So for now, Handelin and his employees can continue to attract people looking for fun.
And we're actually looking at putting more games in our game room now. We've done a big upgrade with our bowling center side.
And exciting news for golfers. Topgolf is working on plans for a new location in Liberty Lake. The popular driving range hopes to build a $25 million facility on East Country Vista Drive, just off of I-90. Plans call for 70 climatized bays so golfers can use it all year round. That project is expected to create 250 new jobs.
A lot of growth is happening in Airway Heights, and one of the biggest projects to open in the past year was an expansion of the Spokane Tribe Resort and Casino. KREM 2 Shannon Mowdy shows us the new addition.
It's the culmination of decades of planning and 20 months of construction.
4, 3, 2, 1.
The new hotel at the Spokane Tribe Resort and Casino opened to VIPs during Hoop Fest and is now taking all guests.
This is the transition from the original casino into now what is the hotel lobby and the connection to the gaming floor. So yeah, from the tile all the way down is all brand new.
From the new retail shop to guest registration and its 175 rooms, this hotel was all the vision of former Spokane Tribal Council members and an economic plan drafted in the late 90s.
Got a lot of our tribal youth, some of the younger people working in this establishment. That was all part of going through this there for get our people working, collect jobs, collect revenue.
When we first started this 4 years ago, we were 150 employees. Today we're 600 employees. So the economic impact is incredible.
Matt Damsko says the hospitality industry is rebounding post-pandemic. Last spring, another casino and resort opened its latest expansion. Northern Quest's River Tower boasts 192 rooms, including 17 suites. At the time River Tower opened in May 2023, Northern Quest was the largest casino resort in Washington, with a total 442 rooms. And the Spokane Tribe's new expansion is already bringing in more people.
People on stay vacation or just on vacation to come stay with us, but we're also looking at getting business travelers. We're right next to the airport. We have the Air Force bases right here.
100% of revenue goes to the Spokane Tribe. And travel and casino leaders aren't relaxing just yet. They're already talking more gaming, more rooms, and even more for this growing community.
There's more to come. The conversation's already started.
As we look to the future, we have things like life sciences, we have clean tech.
Up next, 3 experts share their predictions for future growth. Plus,
I think when you look at the expansion, I think the word that comes to mind is opportunity.
Get ready to pack your bags. We're looking at how newer and bigger airports could open the door to new travel opportunities from the Inland Northwest.
welcome back to our KREM 2 News Boomtown Special. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Whitney Ward. In our ongoing Boomtown series, we track growth here in the Inland Northwest.
But as KREM 2's Cody Proctor found out, we're not the only ones keeping an eye on what is changing in the region.
Well, when it comes to reporting on Spokane's growth, usually we're used to reacting to the news. But what if instead of reacting, we're predicting? Where exactly is Spokane expected to grow? And where will its next hot spots be? Well, I am not nearly qualified enough to make those predictions, so instead, we turn to the people whose jobs require them to have their finger on the Boomtown pulse and ask them to look into the crystal ball and make their predictions for where Spokane's next hotspots could be. We begin our journey at Spokane City Hall to meet with the city's Director of Community and Economic Development, Steve McDonald.
When I think of hotspot, I think of the focus that we've had on helping housing get built here because we have a crisis in housing.
Some areas he's seeing excitement for now are Hilliard and downtown, as well as anywhere there's room for infill development, usually older neighborhoods with space for multifamily homes.
When done right, it does fit in well with the existing communities.
Looking to the future, areas he sees potential for are the 3 public development authorities overseeing the West Plains, Northeast Spokane, and the University District.
That will hopefully lead to more construction of industrial space, which is what we need, because we need those higher paying jobs in the region.
A couple blocks away at the office of Greater Spokane Inc., Vice President of Economic Development Gary Ballou sat down to share his predictions.
As we look to the future, we have things like life sciences, we have clean tech, we have IT, information technology and kind of how that expands, and then advanced manufacturing.
One hotspot he's predicting comes with the U.S. Department of Commerce choosing to make the Spokane area a regional technology hub. While the hub will be physically located in the West Plains area, Ballou says it'll have a wider impact.
Our intent is that Tech Hub 1 helps companies grow, helps aerospace in the United States, but also helps the region grow and develop.
Right now, the organization expects the hub to be up and running within the next decade. Finally, if we go online,
there are 5 huge changes coming to Spokane, Washington.
We can find the YouTube videos of Realtor Hayden Halstead. These videos aim to help people learn more about the Lilac City and the surrounding Inland Northwest before making the move here.
I literally have a camera, I stick it out my window, and I just drive through the neighborhoods and show people what it looks like. And I just try to come from an honesty approach.
He predicts both Latah Valley and Meade will explode within the next decade.
And in 5 to 10 years, the north-south freeway is going to be done, hopefully. And so there's going to be new access to getting up there. It's going to be a lot easier for people to justify making the drive up there or having a house up there.
One property generating buzz is the Meade Works project next to Costco. It's being developed by Greenstone, the same company responsible for Kendall Yards.
Spokane isn't the only city in the Inland Northwest that is booming.
It's Moses Lake's moment.
Up next, see how Moses Lake is transforming itself into a tech hub.
Plus, a neighborhood transformed.
Just been growing big time.
We tour Spokane's Garland District to see how the community is embracing the past and building for the future.
You go throughout America's best cities and you have this awesome mix between the new and the old. And certainly that's what we're doing here.
When it comes to growth and new jobs, Moses Lake is having a moment. The city is well on its way to becoming a hub for advanced battery manufacturing.
KREM 2's chief journalist Amanda Rowley shows us 2 companies that are paving the way for battery technology in the area.
Sela and Group 14 are 2 companies putting Moses Lake on the cutting edge of advanced battery technology. Last year, these companies invested each of their $100 million federal grants into building manufacturing facilities here. Here at SELA, everything from this Moses Lake facility will be commercial large-scale production for electric vehicles. And Group 14's BAM 2 facility will be the world's largest factory for advanced silicone battery materials.
It's Moses Lake's moment.
Washington Senator Maria Cantwell, Governor Jay Inslee, and the U.S. Secretary of Energy visited the companies to see firsthand how they're progressing.
It's exciting that here you guys in Moses Lake are really leading the way. It's such a wonderful story, and I'm thrilled to be here.
SELA recognizes not only did their grant fund the construction of their facility, but it also invests in the community. That's why SELA partnered with Big Bend Community College in Moses Lake to support a workforce pipeline.
What we envision is that a high school student could graduate from high school with a certificate or a degree where they can walk right into a job at SELA.
Over at Group 14, CEO Rick Luby says 80% of Group 14's hires from last year are from the local workforce.
We are going to lead a transformation from lithium-ion batteries to silicon batteries, and it's going to start and grow right here in Moses Lake.
That's what's really exciting to see, how much Moses Lake could really become the epicenter of this clean energy ecosystem.
In Moses Lake, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
It's a decades-old question here in the Inland Northwest.
The number one question that I get asked is, when is it going to be done, right?
WashDOT says the finish line is in sight for the North Spokane Corridor. But how much longer is it going to take?
There's a lot of work between knowing where things are going to connect and actually putting together biddable plans.
Plus, we're rewinding the tape more than 50 years.
It just was a real chance of a lifetime to be part of that.
The lessons we can learn from Spokane's first boomtown during Expo 74. Thank you for joining us for this KREM 2 News Boomtown special. I'm Whitney Ward.
Welcome everyone, I'm Mark Hanrahan. In our Boomtown series, we track growth in the Inland Northwest.
We now want to turn our attention to some of the mega projects here in the region, and they don't get much bigger or take much longer than the North Spokane Corridor.
For decades, the number one question has been, when will it be finished? KREM 2's Tim Pham has a fresh look at the timeline and what's next for the project.
You can hear it, and you can see it.
The finish line is in sight. I mean, you can just about see I-90 from here.
Construction on the North Spokane Corridor inching closer to completion.
I'm Terrence Lynch. I'm the project engineer for the North Spokane Corridor Design Office.
Lynch has worked on the project for the last decade. He took KREM 2 on a tour of what WashDOT is working on right now, the Spokane River crossing north of Spokane Community College.
Of course, the project here off in the distance has been underway since early 2023, so this is in season 2, and it's expected to wrap up by the end of 2025.
2025 marks a major milestone, 5 years out from the expected completion of the North Spokane Corridor.
The number one question that I get asked is, when is it going to be done, right? Everybody wants this project to be completed so that they can have full use of it.
Lynch says they are on track for completion at the end of 2030, but admits they have a lot of work to do. Funding for the $1.5 billion project is secured for now, but there's new leadership in Olympia. So I asked Governor-elect Bob Ferguson if the North Spokane Corridor is a priority for him.
That's a key project for our state. Folks in Spokane who are listening to this know that. I used to live in Spokane. I understand that. We'll make sure that's funded.
This upcoming year, 2 projects are expected to go out for advertisement.
One of them we refer to as Stage 3, and that's actually going to build the twin bridges, so the northbound lanes and the southbound lanes between Sprague Avenue and Alki Avenue.
The other will begin the process of creating a major interchange.
We're hoping to advertise what we call Stage 2, which is going to build the partial interchange at Trent, so make the connection between the North Spokane Corridor and SR 290, otherwise known as Trent Avenue.
Lynch says these two projects should be under construction by this time next year. In the meantime, they are in the process of designing the connection to I-90, hoping to have those designs finalized in the next 2 years.
So we know where all the ramps are going to be, we know how the connection's going to look, but there's a lot of work between knowing where things are going to connect and actually putting together biddable plans that contractors can bid on and then start construction.
However, conversations are already underway for what design features will look like in the East Central neighborhood where the freeways will connect.
When you think about freeways with a lifespan of 100 years, this is infrastructure that's going to be in this neighborhood, in people's backyards for a really long time.
It's why you'll continue seeing this and hearing these sounds for a little longer.
I know they feel like it's taken a long time, and it has, but we are going to finish the project.
Reporting from the North Spokane Corridor, I'm Tim Pham, KREM 2 News.
It is an exciting time for Spokane International Airport. This past spring, the airport opened its brand new terminal expansion.
The new terminal brings state-of-the-art features and expands the airport's gate capacity.
And as Nathan Hyun tells us, there's still more to come.
Take a look at this. We're getting the very first look at the Spokane Airport seat concourse expansion. It's state-of-the-art. There's new seats with outlets at each seat, new ticketing booths, and my favorite part, these gate pillars that actually change the name of what city you're flying to. The Spokane International Airport celebrated the grand opening of its sea concourse expansion. The expansion will include 3 new gates, 6 ticketing booths, and the creation of nearly 1,200 jobs. The expansion cost $150 million. It couldn't come at a more perfect time for the airport. Last year, the airport saw the most number of travelers pass through the airport at 4.2 million travelers.
I think when you look at the expansion, I think the word that comes to mind is opportunity. We have to have more capacity here in order to take advantage of more opportunities.
The new terminal will also include some of the new local restaurants coming into the airport. These include Zona Blanca, Melts Extreme, and Iron Goat Brewing Company.
And Spokane isn't the only airport that is growing. After 2 years of construction, a new 3-gate terminal is now open at the Pullman-Moscow Regional Airport. That terminal is nearly 6 times bigger than the previous one. It includes indoor seating for 160 people, an outdoor seating area, and new space for concessions on both sides of security.
You can watch all of our Boomtown stories and specials anytime with KREM 2 Plus. It's our free streaming channel that you can watch on your television. If you don't yet have KREM 2 Plus, you can download it and watch it for free on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Police flooded to the scene at Garland and Wall around 4 o'clock.
The damage at Ferguson's Cafe next door more severe.
She says crime in the Garland District is outrageous.
A neighborhood reborn.
People kind of felt sorry for it for a while.
How Spokane's Garland District reinvented itself by embracing its past.
What would be the importance to you? How do you use this area?
Plus, we are reimagining one of Spokane's oldest streets.
Almost like a little living room out here, places with seating and plants and that kind of thing that would really encourage pedestrians, people on bikes and that kind of thing to sit and stay.
The Garland neighborhood has had its ups and downs over the years, but after some challenging times, the historic neighborhood is once again booming.
KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones and photojournalist Nathan Brand take a look at how recent revitalization will affect the future of the area.
What happens when you combine 1935 novelty architecture with a 1980s dive bar, or a 1950s diner with a 2020s brew house?
Man, it's a little bit of everything, which rules. I mean, everything from bars to collectible shops to record shops.
The Garland District is a mixture of every era, dozens of businesses, old and new, all coexisting at the same time.
I dig it. I love it up here.
There's a similar dynamic inside of Time Bomb.
Kind of a mishmash of everything, but you went through here and looked around, you'd be like, oh, very 70s, 80s, 90s.
The owner, Josh Scott, moved into the neighborhood 8 years ago.
I moved up here because I felt this area was growing and wanted to be a part of that whole growth.
Businesses such as Vintage Print, Spokane Baby Co., and the neighborhood's first brewery, Garland Brewworks, have all flourished over the last few years. And of course, there was the revival of the Garland Theater.
Just been growing big time. I mean, when you drive through, there's never a for rent sign, it's just stuffed right now. I mean, we're packed. It's cool.
But 10 years ago, it was an entirely different story.
Police flooded to the scene at Garland and Wall around 4 o'clock.
The damage at Ferguson's cafe next door more severe.
She says crime in the Garland District is outrageous.
People kind of felt sorry for it for a while, as it didn't really have the momentum that they really wished it had. But now it finally feels like there's some serious momentum in this area.
3 years ago, in the midst of the pandemic, James Galena and the development firm Millennium Northwest saw the potential and drew up plans for the North Hill on Garland. It's the biggest architectural change to the neighborhood in over half a century.
We're taking this brand new building and we're blending this building into this old Masonic building, trying to join the new and the old.
So what happens when you combine a 1921 Masonic lodge with a brand new 60-unit apartment complex?
I see it being almost exactly the same. I see the growth as a positive growth. I don't see it as a negative growth.
You go throughout America's best cities and you have this awesome mix between the new and the old. And certainly that's what we're doing here.
With photojournalist Nathan Brand, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Growth in the Northwest means more traffic and more changes for our roads.
There's a lot of traffic through the area. There's a lot of congestion. There's not a lot of crosswalks or accessible sidewalks.
See how Spokane is trying to make one South Hill Street more pedestrian friendly and why some say it won't work.
As much as, we'd all like to walk more, drive-up windows are a convenience that benefit both the local business and the consumer.
And traffic isn't only a big city problem.
The Highway 895 thing can be corrected. It doesn't need to be avoided.
Routing the traffic around downtown would be a delight.
We look at the issues at one Palouse intersection and the solutions being explored.
Just fix the intersection, do it right.
Welcome back to our KREM 2 News Boomtown Special. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Whitney Ward. You can't talk Boomtown without talking about traffic and roads.
In the next few minutes, we'll look at several projects that could change the way that we get around.
We start on Spokane Falls Boulevard, where KREM 2's Shannon Mowdy shows us what the future could look like.
It's one of Spokane's most scenic streets and one of its oldest. But now it's time for Spokane Falls Boulevard's renaissance. 100 years ago, it was Front Avenue, but dirt gave way to pavement. And now Kirsten Davis says it's time to think about the future.
Yeah, it gets a lot of traffic. We've kind of done all the maintenance we can do on it.
Right now, the city's in a planning study for a complete overhaul. A lot of work needs to be done under the surface.
We actually still have some of those original pipes servicing, water and wastewater underneath.
Other key changes could be reconfigured parking, lane reductions, or even converting part of the street to two-way. But it's other possible changes that get the gears turning for Lauren Pangborn.
There's a lot to be desired down here for sure. You get a lot of high speeds.
The revamp will likely include several safety updates for walkers and bikers, like protected lanes.
It really changes a lot for pedestrians, I think. It widens sidewalks, it creates bulb outs that allows for what we call daylighting, which is helping drivers see pedestrians a lot better.
But Pangborn believes the plan's still too vehicle focused. She says some extra features may drive more people to the park or nearby businesses.
Almost like a little living room out here, places with seating and plants and that kind of thing that would really encourage pedestrians, people on bikes and that kind of thing to sit and stay.
Construction isn't expected to start until at least 2026, but now is the time for you to have your ideas heard and what you want to see for the future of this scenic Spokane street.
What would be the importance to you? How do you use this area? Is it just a pass-through for you, or is it something, do you like to come down and find a spot to park and access the beautiful park?
Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Not all road projects come without controversy. This past year, the Spokane City Council passed an ordinance to turn 29th Avenue on the South Hill into a more pedestrian-friendly street. Shannon Mowdy looks into the push for pedestrian safety and the pushback from some property owners.
It's a bustling afternoon on the South Hill's 29th Avenue, but those wishing for change here may not have long to wait. 29th Avenue is a pretty busy route here at Lincoln Heights, but some argue it's not safe enough for all users.
There's a lot of traffic through the area. There's a lot of congestion. There's not a lot of crosswalks or accessible sidewalks.
Spokane City Council will vote on a proposal pushed by Paul Dillon to designate a portion of 29th as a pedestrian street.
So this is something that the neighbors have actually been asking for since the 1990s.
That will create more walkability with sidewalk, curb, and crosswalk changes. The idea has generated a lot of talk because it's the same area where Chick-fil-A wants to build its next location. That application's already been denied once.
So as much as, we'd all like to walk more, drive-up windows are a convenience that benefit both the local business and the consumer.
The designation would ban new drive-thrus, though Dillon says it's not targeting any one business. For him, it's about reducing congestion and increasing safety. Some property owners don't agree.
The amount of traffic designed for 29th Avenue is to increase, not to decrease. So all the testimony you've heard about people who aren't able to walk on 29th, nothing that you do for drive-thrus or prohibiting drive-thrus is going to do any calming.
If approved, changes won't be swift, but Dillon hopes they will be noticeable in the long-term future of Lincoln Heights.
And so when you look at some of these empty lots and spaces, those could be better utilized for mixed use, where you have businesses on the first floor and residential on top.
Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
We now want to travel down the road to Moscow, specifically where Highway 8 and US 95 come together. That spot is often a traffic headache, so the Idaho Transportation Department is looking for a fix. Nicole Hernandez shows us the solutions in the works.
Before cars drove US 95 and Highway 8,
That is the original Highway 95, that dirt right there.
it was bikes.
200 years ago. This is when Moscow started.
US 95 is ingrained in Moscow's history
All right.
and ingrained in TJ Clevenger's bike shop.
If you know, right? You've been to Moscow, Idaho. You've been to Paradise Creek Bicycles. You've been to Highway 95, 513 is the address.
As a business owner, TJ says Highway 95 brings in customers.
Lots.
But as a driver,
That's a mess.
particularly at the Highway 8 and US 95 intersection,
Yep, and it's incredibly confusing.
the Idaho Transportation Department wants to fix the problem.
Today, we will be getting to possible solutions.
But in 2050.
For this community.
For now, they're asking Moscow what they think.
What you see is a lot of traffic backing up all the way around the corner, probably 4 to 6 blocks.
Mayor Art Betke has ideas.
I want a bypass.
He wants ITD to reroute Highway 95 altogether.
I don't think it's going to do anything to business. Your average chip truck between Plummer and Lewiston, they're not stopping. They're not interested. Oh, here's a lovely antique shop. I think I'll go look. No, they're just interested in keeping the wheels turning.
Let's see if I can find you something better.
TJ disagrees, though.
People, when they're driving up, they stop here for lunch. They say that this is the heart of the arts. It's a really curious little town.
Highway 95 helped shape that town, with 200 years of history as the main route through the Panhandle.
The Highway 895 thing can be corrected. It doesn't need to be avoided.
Routing the traffic around downtown would be a delight.
Just fix the intersection, do it right.
Whatever that change looks like, we won't see it for decades. In Moscow, Nicole Hernandez, KREM 2 News.
I always refer to Expo as one of the two big moments in Spokane's kind of landscape history.
Up next, we go back 50 years to another time that Spokane was a boomtown.
In my mind, I thought, Spokane and a World's Fair? There's no way.
The lessons of Expo 74 as we work to navigate our current growth.
In our ongoing Boomtown series, we usually focus on the growth happening right now in the inland Northwest.
But when we look back at Spokane's past, we can also find this isn't our first time being a boomtown.
KREM 2's Cody Proctor rewinds the film and takes us back to the boomtown of Expo 74.
There's nothing quite like a Spokane spring at Riverfront Park. From the falls, to the fountain, to the fun. This downtown spot's one of the places to be in the Lilac City.
But all around Riverfront Park are reminders, remnants, such as the pavilion of a major event that brought the world right to Spokane's front door.
So let's rewind the film, back to 1974.
From Spokane, USA, Expo 74 presents
Back
the World's Fair.
to one of Spokane's first boomtowns.
I always refer to Expo as one of the two big moments in Spokane's kind of landscape history. The first being the fire in 1889, which burns down the entire downtown core, and the second being the fair.
The 1974 World's Fair brought major change to downtown Spokane, transforming the banks of the Spokane River from industry to recreation. But change doesn't happen overnight.
This really started about 3 years before that in our office.
That's Hope Fulweiler. Now in her 90s, she worked in the Spokane City Manager's office as plans first started being worked up to bring the World's Fair to Spokane. The bid was the brainchild of urban developer King Cole, brought in by the group Spokane Unlimited.
In my mind, I thought, Spokane and a World's Fair? There's no way.
Looking at Spokane's downtown landscape at the time, the doubts aren't surprising. Before 1972, a tapestry of train tracks and 2 levels of trestles weaved across where Riverfront Park now sits.
You didn't know the river was there unless you went to the bank of it to see it.
According to Anna Harbine, who works as a Johnston Fix curator of archives and special collections at the MAC, Fulweiler wasn't the only skeptic.
When King Cole would bring it up, people would just kind of laugh at him and be like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, sure.
But after getting the bid from the Bureau of International Expositions, the real work began, from getting the money.
They kept trying to pass a levy and a bond, and these bond issues kept failing.
To getting the land. Mike Koplik, who worked as the director of performing and visual arts for Expo 74, says the biggest miracle turned out to be the railroads leaving the area years before they had to.
They moved at their expense off of that property and donated that property to the city to become a park.
Construction began in 1972, but change isn't always good. In the process of building the fairgrounds, Trent Alley, a cultural hub for Spokane's international community, came down.
That area had started to flourish in the 1920s with Japanese and Chinese businesses, and there's no remnants of those. They were all torn down and turned into parking lots.
For an expo focused on environmental sustainability, concerns about the environment came up.
There were a lot of skeptics around, is this actually going to be environmentally good, or are you just using this to sell a bunch of tchotchkes?
But time and construction marched on until May 4th, 1974 arrived, when the World's Fair opened to a crowd of 85,000.
It is my high honor and privilege to declare Expo 74 officially open to all the citizens of the world.
At the time, Spokane was the smallest city in the world to host the fair. More than 5 million people walked the grounds during its 6-month run.
It just was a real chance of a lifetime to be part of that.
Gone were the rail yards. In its place, a new destination for future generations.
So when it comes to figuring out Spokane's future, sometimes we have to look to our past. Now, as for what or when our city's next boomtown will be, only time will tell. In downtown Spokane, Cody Proctor, KREM 2 News.
Thank you for joining us for this KREM 2 News Boomtown Special. Keep it here on KREM 2 for the latest Boomtown stories all throughout the year.
And if you missed a story, you can get all caught up anytime on KREM 2 Plus. It is our free streaming channel that you can watch on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Just go ahead and search for KREM 2 Plus, then download the app and pin it to your homepage. I'm Whitney Ward.
And I'm Mark Hanrahan. Thank you for watching. We'll see you on KREM 2 News with more Boomtown updates.